Hello and welcome to the Analog Toys live stream. Streaming solo tonight. I have a bit of a tale to tell you all. But before we get into that, first thing I'd like to do is wish Bob Breakin a very happy birthday. His birthday's not today, it was just a couple of days ago. But, you know, the godfather of Action Man, Action Force, all of those amazing toys like the Palitoy Death Star and Robo Skull and all of that. So happy birthday, Bob. And before we get into the topic, I know the thumbnail probably looked like I was really angry. I'm probably a little more frustrated than anything else. But we're going to get into the topic. I'm going to tell you all about the shenanigans in the background of YouTube that's been going on for me the last couple of days. But yeah, let's bear with me 1 second. Let's go to the chat first of all, because I want to say hello to everyone who is here. So, Edster3, he says, I really hate to see decent creators being screwed by ScrewTube or YouTube. Yeah, it is a shame. In this case, it's not just YouTube. There are two parties involved. I will get into that. But honestly, you don't even need to say decent creators. I don't think any creators on this platform need to get unnecessarily screwed over. I'll explain more as we go along. Jason Anderson, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. He says, I can't be here for the live stream, so I'll ask my question from beyond the grave. Woo! My question is, did YouTube at least kiss you first? Nope, they just slid into my email inbox in the middle of a meeting when I was at work on Friday. So a random poster says, what's one item in your collection you would throw away today if you had to? There's heaps of stuff I would throw away. Probably, I'm just looking at the background, probably the Ghostbusters Firehouse, that can go, or maybe some of my He-Man stuff. Crack says, Tony, you and Michael should look at moving to Rumble. Keep YouTube, but anything YouTube censors, Rumble will allow. Look, I've had people suggest that in the past. Once you've spent 9 years building your following on a certain platform, you don't want to go and move over to another platform and start all over again, trying to garner subscribers again and views again. YouTube is my chosen platform. For the most part, I do still enjoy. I certainly enjoy running the channel, and I enjoy YouTube as a platform. There are just some shenanigans that go on sometimes for content creators. KBA, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Remember when Google's motto was "Don't be evil." I'm pretty sure now it's "Kick puppies for Satan." There you go. Troy Pacelli, I would like to say hello to you. Stuart Nesbitt. Keith Knight, my old mucker, good to see you, mate. Brian Dillingham, Gary's Action Man channel, K-Dog Broadcasting. Gary's Action Man channel just became a new member. Thank you very much. Troy Pacelli has been a member for 21 months. That's great. Thank you very much, Troy. And so has KBA. All right. Brian Dillingham says, is anyone tuning in from DFW? Of course, yeah, it's the weekend of the DFW G.I. Joe show. I was just talking to Bobby Valor earlier. He's had a great show already, and there's still another day to go. I think he might be running out of product to sell, but his panel is tomorrow. I think it's going to be live streamed on Facebook around 12:30 Texas time, something like that. Michael Schaefer says, greetings, great shirt, Tony. Well, I seek the means to fight injustice. So that's why I thought I'd go with the Batman shirt today. Everyone wishing Bob a happy birthday. Yes. Wow, I can't keep up with this chat. Damn, this is going crazy. Let's just skip to the bottom. Might have needed someone to help me with this show. Oh, it's too late now. I didn't realize we're going to have so many live viewers. I don't live stream very often anymore. But Scuba Pete, Very, very kind of you, man. I hope you had a great weekend at Joe Fest and hanging out with Michael and Melinda and Chris Miwa. Really enjoyed the Chasing 80s Joe Fest trip wrap-up video. I watched that yesterday with my morning coffee. Looked like you had a wonderful weekend. So thank you very much for the super chat. And he says, good to see you, pal. Good to see you here too, my friend. Okay. Let's get into the topic at hand. And it comes down to this bad boy right here. My Story of Action Man documentary that I filmed, produced in 2011 and then released in 2013. Somewhat of a cursed production. This documentary just it's cursed. So for those of you who don't know the story, when I was leaving my career in the private security industry, working in Iraq, I took a long period off. I took about 9-10 months off to make a feature-length documentary about the story of Action Man. And at the time, I had never even considered the option of a YouTube channel or putting the documentary on YouTube or anything like that. Spent most of 2011 filming and editing the documentary. It took me about 11 months to complete. And then I went through 12 months of absolute pain trying to get permission from Hasbro to use the Action Man name in the documentary. Anthony Dorian says, I have about 50 G.I. Joe action figures with weapons and cards. Is there any value to them? Yes, of course, if they're vintage figures, but it's all down to completeness, condition. There's not much more I can tell you beyond that. So yeah, so it took about a year to get permission from Hasbro, and what ended up happening, Hasbro US, I just couldn't get a response from. Hasbro UK, from memory, I'm trying to, this is like 13-14 years ago. Hasbro UK were difficult. I ended up getting my most success with Hasbro Australia, who eventually sent me a letter giving me permission to use the Action Man name in for the title of the documentary. And I believe the only caveat they had was that I could only show Action Man toys in the video in the way in which they were sold by Hasbro. For example, I couldn't show customs, which was a real shame because there were segments of that documentary that covered a lot of Action Man customizers and things like that. So some of those sequences were cut out of the DVD release, and then I put them back in when the documentary went onto YouTube. Keith Knight says that Action Man documentary is absolutely ace. I've watched it so many times now, I've lost count. Keith often tells me this. He's probably responsible for several thousand of the views on those videos. So always appreciate you, Keith. KBA says, don't tell me some a-hole tried to copyright strike your Action Man documentary. We're getting there. We're getting there, KBA. All right. So fast forward to 2016. So what I ended up, I self-funded the production of this documentary, which cost me somewhere in the region of $35,000-$40,000 Australian. I, of course, was hoping to make my money back. I never even got close to that, but I'm not really bothered. It was a passion project. One of the highlights of my toy collecting life is being that whole process of being able to interview these legends like Brian Turner and Bob Breakin and Jeff Mazie. If I had my time over, I wouldn't change anything. I would still do it again, even if I went into it knowing that I would not make my $40,000 back. But I sold the documentary on DVD. As I said, but from when I finished the documentary to when it came out was around a 12-month period. Then fast forward to 2016, and I have discovered the Retro Blasting YouTube channel, and that has inspired me to start my own channel. And we're actually coming up to the channel's 9th birthday. I never remember the actual day, but it is somewhen in July. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be 9 years old. So I start the YouTube channel. Now, Extreme Slacker, the DVDs have been out of print for a very long time. I've had numerous people over the years ask me to redo them. It is such a headache. I'm not even going to entertain that idea, because I made region-free DVDs that should play on any device, and yet when you're shipping these out worldwide, people normally, due to the type of device they're trying to play it on, people were asking for refunds, because not lots. I would probably say it was only around 2 or 3% of people who purchased the DVD, but they would have issues with their player for some reason, internationally, and just the whole headache of having to ship them. The most cost-effective way back in those days, because of how thin a DVD was, I could send it as a letter, but that meant they were untracked. If I want to send them tracked, the shipping costs more than the DVD. So long story short, it is an absolute nightmare to produce DVDs, to sell them and ship them internationally. They're out of print, and it's not happening ever again. King Eric, the greatest of all. Don't push it, or I'll give you a war you won't believe. Tony to Hasbro. Yeah, this isn't really a Hasbro thing. Currently, this is a YouTube thing. So, yes, Murray, good to see you here, mate. Murray is for those in the chat who don't know, Murray is a fan of the channel who I met at Lobo's Collectibles in Melbourne last year. And Murray, I'm coming back to Melbourne at the end of October, and I'm going to be touching base with Dennis soon. We're going to arrange one night during the week when I'm there to have a bit of a beer and pizza night at the actual shop, where fans of the channel and fans of Lobos can come down for a bit of a meet and greet and a hangout for the evening. So I'll make sure you've got all the details there. Steve Giblin, why would I sell digital versions when it is available for free on the YouTube channel? That seems quite mercenary of me to sell it to some people when it's available free. That doesn't make sense. Robert's Infinite Realms, good to see you here. It's a YouTube thing. The plot thickens. Yes, it does. So in 2016, I start the YouTube channel. In July, I start posting content. And then toward the end of that year, around November time, I learned that a so-called friend of mine in the vintage Action Man collecting community, a fellow collector, someone who actually ran Action Man conventions or collector shows in the UK, I discovered that he is selling pirate copies of my DVD at toy shows in the UK for like £4 or £5. When I used to sell the DVD, I think it was $25 a copy. So no wonder I hadn't sold. I was in Australia at the time. No wonder I hadn't sold any DVDs in forever, because, yeah, as I said, a fellow collector was selling pirated copies. And I got a little bit drunk one night, and back in those days, I was on a lot of Facebook forums, Action Man not Facebook, Action Man forums, with the old, back in the day where we used to have message boards and stuff like that. And I was a little bit drunk that night, but I was, quite angry, saying some stuff about this guy who had pirated my DVD. People were looking for evidence. Now, my evidence was that people that I trusted had told me that what actually happened. This forum used to run there used to be a photo competition every month with a different theme. Like, December was always your Action Man winter stuff. And then the winner of each month, the winning photo from the photography competition, would then go into a calendar for the next year, with each month having a different theme and a different winner. and members of the forum would purchase these calendars. So throughout the year, as this was happening, each month a prize would be offered up by one of the members of the forum for the winning photo competition. And I used to participate in this photo competition sometimes. Don't think I ever won one, but I did participate. And I go onto the forum one day and someone is offering for that month's prize. There was a couple of other items there, but it was a copy of my Story of Action Man DVD. And I reached out to the guy and I said, where'd you get that DVD? No, where did you get my DVD? And he's like, what do you mean your DVD? Who do you think you are? And I'm like, have you actually watched it? Like, I'm the guy who made that documentary. And the reason I was asking is that these DVDs, I had these professionally made, so nicely printed slip covers. You actually see the DVD itself there. Really professionally done. These were not cheap DVDs for me to produce. But the prize that was being offered up was in a CD case with a black and white photo copy, and clearly a pirated copy. So that's what first alerted me to it. And then when I started asking around, some people had said to me, hey, this so-called friend of yours, well, he's been selling them at toy shows in the UK. So at that point, I decided that I wasn't going to let any arsehole profit off of my hard work. I'm just going to I'm going to split the documentary up into 3 parts and put it on YouTube for free so that everyone can watch it, and this guy can no longer profit off me selling these pirated DVDs. So that happened in the build up to Christmas of 2016. I believed I released the 3 parts on like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, and put them out there. That was like 8.5 years ago. So those 3 videos have been on YouTube for 8.5 years. And everything's sweet until Friday. I'm going to get onto that in a second. I need to catch up with the chat first, because we've got a very, very generous super chat here from James Tiberius Kirk. Thank you very much. Said, I've watched on and off for years, 58-year-old here. Not a G.I. Joe guy, but I do have this G.I. Joe duffel bag with utensils, field radio, dynamite, etc. I got it as a gift when I was 10. What is it, and what's it worth? So there is the Special Operations kit bag. It was sold in the Action Man line as well. It was a cheaper pocket money sized item that you could buy in toy stores. All of the accessories came in the duffel bag, and that's literally how they were sold. You would go into the toy shop and you would buy the little Action Man or G.I. Joe duffel bag with the bits in it. It was in no other packaging. It wasn't on a blister card or in a box or anything like that. Unfortunately, they are so common. They're not worth all that much, to be honest. Tim Ward says the documentary may not have made back its money, but the contacts you made and the additional knowledge you acquired is still paying dividends to this very. Absolutely, Tim. Look, I don't have any regrets. It was a wonderful experience. I was in my early to mid 30s at the time. Just the simple fact that not many people get to like take 10, 11 months off work and pursue a passion project. Successful or not, it was one of the best years of my life. So I have absolutely no regrets. Henrik, you say you weren't aware of this documentary. You've been a subscriber to Analog Toys for years. Do you not talk about it that often? Henrik, I have talked about this numerous times, and the documentary is on the channel. It's some of the most highest viewed videos on this channel is the 3-part documentary. So don't wait for YouTube to spoon feed you content from creators that you like. You need to be proactive. You need to go and visit their channel pages and have a look through their back catalogs. Don't just wait for the next notification, because a lot of the time YouTube won't send you notifications even when you ask for them. Yes, Eric, absolutely disgusting behavior. Yep, KBS right. It's one of the earliest videos on the channel. Yeah, the channel had only been going 6 months. I may have done like 10 videos at the time, and then I put these out. Voltage 3D. I don't know if you joined late, but I've already answered that question. Brian Ford, thank you very much. He said he watched the doco on YouTube with great pleasure 5 times. Amazing. K-Dog Broadcasting says, why are there questions about value of things all of a sudden? I don't recall Tony ever being an eBay reference guide. Actually, K-Dog, myself and my ever faithful moderator, Tim Ward. Tim, thank you for all you do, my friend. Tim pretty much runs the Analog Toys Facebook page, and he helps me moderate all of the YouTube comments. And Tim totally understands my stance on this. This channel does not offer valuations because the toy market can fluctuate so much. I don't want to be misleading to anyone. I couldn't honestly tell you what accurate price is for vintage Action Man these days, because even though I have this collection and this wealth of knowledge about the toy line, I don't regularly buy a lot of Action Man stuff anymore. And if you're not regularly buying, you're not keeping track of the market. So I don't want to mislead anyone. So this channel does not offer valuations. But in addition to that, you do find the people who do reach out to you, particularly through the Facebook page, will be like, oh, I've got this old Spider-Man toy from the 70s. What's it worth? There'll be very little in way of description. There'll be no photos. You can't view condition. Like, no one can value something like that. Even someone who does keep up to speed with the value of items. Slacker Supreme says, Tony, are you watching UFC tonight? If so, any bold predictions? Yes, I'm actually going to be watching the main card. I'm obviously missing some of the fights now. I'm not too worried, but I'm going to be watching the main card later with my son. And a bold prediction from me is I think that Kai Kara-France is going to win the flyweight title. He's not the betting favorite, but I might have chucked 25 quid on him. So, Keith Knight, never a truer word spoken, my friend. Henrik, yes, you have been screwed by the algorithm, because the algorithm will only show you recent stuff. As I said, this channel is getting close to its 9th birthday. Some of our best and most popular videos came out years ago. So, yeah. But if you like G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, that the next fully produced video on this channel is going to be about a selection of vintage G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero action figures. I'm currently scripting that video at the moment. Yes, KBA. Yep. The best thing you can do is go over to their channel page and look at their back catalog. That's what happened when I discovered retro blasting all those years ago, watching YouTube on night shift at work, came across this channel and then just started binge watching all of the Star Wars follies. And I went to the channel page and consumed their entire back catalog. And then the next thing I know, I was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. So it's amazing that all these years later, I've become very, very dear friends with the host of that channel. Michael is one of my best friends in the whole world. So. Good score, Scuba. Wow. I paid a hell of a lot more for mine. Those repair kits are incredible. I didn't feature it in the Star Wars Follies, but I got a repair kit for my Imperial Shuttle. One of the wings was broken. The good thing with that repair kit is even if your Imperial Shuttle's wings aren't broken, I recommend getting that repair kit and installing. There's 2 components for each wing that you install. They're very easy to install. it actually reinforces the mechanism. So even if it's unbroken, I recommend getting that kit and putting it in, because it'll prevent your current mechanism from ever breaking on you and failing. So thank you, Michael Schaefer. Yeah, there is no DVD. The 3-part documentary is on the channel. Arjun C says, I appreciate how well spoken you are, Tony. It works well for the stream format. I'm glad you think so, because I always worry about it. I try not to and ah too much and things like that. And it can be very difficult, particularly streaming alone is very, very hard. But I felt with this topic, I didn't want to invite a guest for this topic. This just needed to be me and me alone telling my story. And I once I get through it, we've been going for 25 minutes already. Once I get through the story, I really want to get the feedback from the audience. I've got a few options as to what I can do, and I would like audience input to help me make that decision. Another thing about how well spoken you are, when you're streaming, I always feel this pressure to not have these moments of silence. It's a bit awkward. So I do sort of struggle with that a little bit. But Murray McShane, my mate Muzza, says the documentary is what got me subscribing to Analog Toys all those years ago. Thank you, Tony. No, thank you for being a subscriber and a long-time fan and just an all-round good bloke. It was wonderful to meet you last year, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again in October. I really hope you can make it. Last call with Troy Pacelli. Thank you for the super chat, friend. If you start watching old vids on a channel, YouTube will start suggesting other older vids again. I encourage people to go back and enjoy. You know, I was talking to Michael French yesterday. I was actually discussing this topic with him. I was getting his advice as a fellow content creator and someone who's also had to deal with YouTube shenanigans over the years. And through that conversation, I was saying to him, you know, the video I did at the start of the month about the Kenner Empire Strikes Back figure lineup, that's been doing really well. And I said, and I think because of the success of that, there have been a few other older videos that have seen a resurgence in views. One of which is my Palatoy Death Star video, which I'm really happy about because that didn't perform very well initially, but it's had a big boost in the last couple of weeks. And the other one is the Star Wars Follies about the TIE fighters that me and Michael did with Sal from 2 Cents Toys. And it's the Star Wars Follies that Michael made and put onto Analog Toys. And interestingly, I wasn't aware of all this controversy around the $160 Darth Vader TIE fighter that they're putting out for the vintage collection. Michael made a very good point. He's like, people are probably searching videos about Kenner TIE fighters at the moment. And that's the most comprehensive video on YouTube. So that's had a real big boost in views recently. And it's now up over 100,000 views on the channel. So that's amazing. Thank you for the super chat, Troy. Frank Briones, he says, we love you in San Diego. My wife and I appreciate your videos and your passion on the topic. Keep the videos coming. Thanks. You're very welcome, Frank. I'm very pleased that you and your wife enjoy the videos. And yes, I will be keeping them coming. I have big plans for the future of this channel. So Lester's Septic Tank Obsessions. That's great. Been a member for 21 months. Lester, thank you for being here. Slacker Supreme, I get that, man. He says, I'm getting ready to go to a convention tomorrow. I'm scared for my wallet. I'm always scared for my wallet when I go to a convention or a vintage toy store. So I think there's a lot of people around here who will understand that feeling. GeForce Racing has been finding a bit of the Britain's figures in local thrift shops for around £12 each. Is that a good price? I have no idea. It depends on the figures, the condition, the rarity, I cannot answer that question with such little information. But defaulting to my previous thing, this channel does not offer valuations on vintage toys. So Henrik says, on a completely different note, what's your favorite Disney Star Wars movie series and why is it Andor? Absolutely amazing show, 10 out of 10. Rogue One is probably my favorite Disney thing. I enjoyed Andor, but it is nowhere near a 10 out of 10. If you compare Andor season 1, 2, both of them, whatever, compare that to Band of Brothers and try and tell me again that it's still a 10 out of 10. Because I would put it at maybe a 6.5, 7. Still a really good show. I'm not hating on it, but it's not a 10 out of 10 is a masterpiece, and that Andor is not that. Oh, that's awesome, KBA. That was, I believe, the very first of my Palatoy Action Force series that I did. I believe that was the first one, was the Red Shadows. So this chat is jumping on me. I don't want to miss any super chats. Or K-Dog Broadcasting gifted 5 Analog Toys memberships. Thank you very much, K-Dog Broadcasting. That is very, very kind of you. George Aitken says, when are you going back to America, Tony? I don't have any plans at this stage. Not at this stage. Cablin 68, Tony, any plans on rejoining the 3POA? No, I have no plans on going back on the 3POA. David Carlier, thank you very much for the kind super chat. Are you still struggling for space with your collection? Always, man, always. I've moved that Imperial shuttle about 4 times trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. It's a real challenge, but what I'm kind of holding on hope for is that I don't know if I've said this. Yeah. I mentioned this in my unboxing video of that Imperial shuttle, that Grace and I are building a new house next year. We're just waiting for all we've purchased a block of land. We're waiting for it to be ready. It's basically going to be around a 2-year process. So we'll be in that house, hopefully in 2 years or less. We will be in that house. It's going to have a much bigger collection room, a kind of custom designed studio for me to record in. That's some of the big plans I have for the channel in the future. So I'm just kind of hanging on to hope that while things might get a little bit cramped at the moment, I will have some options to deal with my space issue in the coming years. All right, I feel like I'm way behind in the chat, so I'm just going to pick up on the starred ones for now. So RC Archaeologist became a YouTube channel member. Thank you very much, RC Archaeologist. And Werewolf by Lunchtime says, I really hope James Gunn doesn't mess up Superman. Yeah, I'm going to reserve my judgment for when I see the actual film. But I want it to be good. I want all of these properties that I love when they make movies. I want them all to be good. I don't want them to be bad. It would be a very refreshing change if it's good. And I'm one of the people who has no problem with crypto being in the movie. So there you go. And RC Archaeologist. All right, this is going to be the last chat I read out for a moment, and then we really need to get onto the topic at hand. RC Archaeologist, thank you for the kind super chat. He says, Tony, thank you for your hard work and great content. I'm refinishing my attic to get more space. The struggle is real. Absolutely, man. It absolutely is. All right. So 2016, I split the Action Man documentary into 3 parts and I put it on YouTube. So those 3 videos have been on the channel for over 8 years, close to 8.5 years now. And between the 3 videos, the channel has garnered 400,000 views. I believe part 1 has got 188,000 views, 111,000 views on part 2, and 101,000 views on part 3. That's a little bit of information that's important to remember as we go through this this story of these shenanigans. So I'm at work on Friday. I believe it was Friday. It might have been Thursday, but whatever. I was in a meeting at work, trying to concentrate on the topic of the meeting in my day job, when an email pops up that is really, really distracting. I get a copyright claim for part 1 of the Story of Action Man documentary. And I'm just going to read this out here. So, copyrighted content has been detected in your video, The Story of Action Man, part 1 of 3, documentary film, Vintage Action Man Collection. It's a very long-winded title, but I made it like that for searchable purposes. But it's basically part 1 of the Story of Action Man documentary. The visibility of your video is not impacted, but you can no longer monetize it. The copyright owner is now either monetizing it or receiving analytics about it. This is not a copyright strike and does not affect your channel. Whoops, let me go back. Well, that's great, YouTube. But I put a year of my life into making this documentary, and now someone else is taking the monetization. Any ad revenue garnered by that particular video is now going to someone else. And that someone else is Cobalt Music Publishing. Jesse, I'm going through all of this, my friend. So yeah, the copyright was from Cobalt Music Publishing for a song called Take Your Heart. Now, when I was putting the documentary onto YouTube, at that time, I had to go back and re-edit a couple of sections because of copyright content, particularly in the music. So I made some changes at the time. And I can't even remember if this was one of the songs, but this is very near the opening of the documentary, where I am setting the scene for what Britain was like in the mid-1960s. So I talk about mods and rockers and the Mini Cooper and all of that kind of stuff. It's a sequence that I do not want to remove from the video. It's a sequence that I feel really needs to have that piece of music over it and all of that. But so they have claimed this piece of music, and this was on the 26th of June 2025, so Thursday. And then it says, here's what you can do. You can leave the video as is if you're fine with revenue sharing. Well, no, I'm not fine with revenue sharing. Edit out the segment by trimming, muting, or replacing copyrighted content with the YouTube video editor. I don't particularly want to do that, because I strongly believe that this is a false copyright claim, and I'll get onto that in a moment. You can submit a dispute to the content owner if you have the rights to the content. Well, what if it's a false claim, YouTube? How can they should have the burden of proof first before they file a claim like this? Freedom, tell me how I'm going to replace the music. If I re-edit that video, which, first of all, I can no longer do, because in 2021, following Iconicon 2021, I purchased a new computer and I transitioned away from an old version of Final Cut Pro video editing software that I used to use, and I now use Adobe. Any video that I made prior to July of 2021, I can't go back and easily re-edit. And one of the hardest things to do is to change music where it's over the top of recorded narration or interviews or anything like that. YouTube's editor is clunky. And if I try to remove it, all of the narration comes out as well, Freedom. All right. It is not as simple as that. And this is a false copyright claim. I don't want to re-edit something that I am well within my rights to use. I used a piece of royalty-free music, and that piece of music is not a song called Take Your Heart, and it is not owned by Cobalt Musical Publishing. So bear with me a second. And then the final option here that YouTube says is re-upload the video. So by re-uploading the video, my channel loses 188,000 views that particular video has garnered. So before I respond, and I'm thinking through this, I do a little bit of research. Now, it's important to remember that I posted this video to YouTube in December of 2016. That's 8 years ago. The song Take Your Heart is a song written and performed by Ela Talbert with music and lyrics by both Talbert and Kevin, and published by Cobalt Music Publishing. The song was released in late 2024. It's actually a Spanish-speaking song and doesn't sound anything like the piece of music that's in my documentary. So why am I getting a copyright claim, and then all of the revenue from my video is now going to Cobalt Music Publishing, when this song came out 7 fucking years after my video was published? Jesse says YouTube should have a new system of copyright where the individual makes the claim, is challenged, and the revenue is placed on a hold where neither party makes revenue until the claim is settled. 100%. The onus is on the person who's being challenged. The Salakazar. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You do not deserve it. I love your channel, your content, and you. You are charismatic and easy on the eye. Well, thank you, sir. Well, ma'am, or I don't want to assume your gender. Thank you very much for saying so. Yeah, look, I have been through stuff like this before. There is a website out there called bensound.com that offers both music that you can purchase a license for and royalty-free music. And back in the COVID times, when this channel used to receive a lot more mystery boxes and things, the first few unboxing videos I did on this channel, I used to pre-record those. That they weren't like live unboxings when I was doing all the live streaming. I would pre-record these unboxing videos, and I would play a royalty-free music from bensound.com in the background, but like, you know, nice background music. Fast forward 5 years, and bensound.com just decides all of a sudden to go, nah, that's not royalty-free anymore. We want to claim the copyright for that out of nowhere. So, and YouTube won't do nothing about it. They're like, no, you don't have the rights to this song. They're claiming it. So what I did with those unboxing videos is I removed them from YouTube because I didn't want Bensound taking the revenue from those videos when an agreement was made 4 years prior when I downloaded it that it was royalty free, and they just changed their fucking mind. And a lot of people use Bensound music back in those days. It was a very, very frequently used website for royalty free music. They'd be making a killing out there on YouTube just by shuffling the deck, you know, slipping in an extra card or slipping a card up their sleeve, whatever you want to call it. In fact, you know what? You know what this kind of reminds me of?
They fuck you at the drive-thru, okay? They fuck you at the drive-thru. They know you're going to be miles away before you find out you got fucked, okay? They know you're not gonna turn around and go back. So they don't care who gets fucked. Oh, Leo gets. Okay, sure. I don't give a fuck. I'm not eating this tuna, okay?
That's what it feels like. So I have been through this before. But with those unboxing videos, it's a shame I had to take them down. But this... Wow, the chat's jumping on me. Freedom, what? Replace song under the copyrighted video. What are you talking about? You talking about the YouTube editor that does that, and then it fucks up the audio of the people speaking? I've tried this stuff in the past. The YouTube editor is not great. It doesn't work very well. And I don't want to remove this piece of music because it's not the piece of music in content in that's being claimed. The piece of music I use is a completely different song that is royalty free. All right, so we've established that this is not the song in question. So my next step now is, right, I need to go and dispute this claim. So here are the actions available. Erase the song. Remove the claimed song while keeping other sounds such as speech or mute all sound. All right, this doesn't work very well with the YouTube editor. All right, and once you do it, it's not reversible. So if they fuck up some of the narration that is being spoken, you can't go back and change it afterwards. And I don't want to remove a song that I am within my legal right to use. Replace the song has the same issues as option 1. Trim out the segment. Whoops, sorry. Trim out the I don't want to trim out the segment. It sets the scene for the 1960s. It's part of the story I'm trying to tell. And I don't want to trim out a piece of music that I am legally within my rights to use. So that leaves me with the final option here, which is dispute the claim. If you have the necessary rights to the content or other valid reasons, it takes up to 30 days for a final resolution from the claimant. Your channel won't receive a strike if your dispute gets rejected. Okay. I proceed with that step, dispute the claim. Now, here YouTube gives you. You have to give them a reason why you're disputing it. Brian Dillingham, thank you very much for the kind super chat, my friend. He said, a beer for your trouble. This sucks. Yeah, it does suck. But we're dealing with it. So, select the main reason you're disputing this claim. Original content. The content claimed in my video is my original content and I own all the rights to it. Well, it's not my original content, but it is royalty free. So it doesn't fit that category. The next one, license. I have permission or a license to use the content claimed in my video. Yes, that's probably the one I should have gone with. But it still doesn't quite fit this category because it's not the song that they are claiming it to be. Copyright exemption such as fair use, which is that's the one I ended up going for, or public domain. The content claimed in my videos in the public domain. So there is no option here to say like, no, I believe this is a false claim. That is the reason I wanted to go with, but it doesn't give you that option. So I enter my dispute. So you have to give your example here. Say the song that Cobalt Music Publishing is claiming is not their song. The version of Take Your Heart published by Cobalt Music Publishing was released in late 2024, whereas my video was published in 2016, so it cannot be the same song. This is a false copyright claim filed by Cobalt Music Publishing, and I request the removal of the claim. Uh, 100% Shockwave 75, you're spot on here. If you go to court to make a claim on something, the burden is on you to prove that you own it. It's fucked up that YouTube seems to operate the opposite way. 100% it does. But what was really interesting was that once I submitted this claim, now remember, this song was called Take Your Heart by a guy with a Spanish name, right? I submitted this claim, came back to this page, and then here, the content in question is called Share Your Heart by Charles Kramer, a different song to what was in the email, which was Take Your Heart. YouTube don't know what the fuck they're talking about here. So I then look up Share Your Heart. It's Charles Kramer is an artist on Apple Music. And I went through, I listened to Share Your Heart. Doesn't sound anything like the song. So there's now two different songs that you see. Take Your Heart was in the email. Share Your Heart is in YouTube Studio. And neither of them are the song in question. Share Your Heart is not a song or album title associated with Cobalt Music Publishing. Cobalt is a music publishing rights management company, not a music label. They administer publishing rights for songwriters and artists and focus on areas like royalty collection and licensing and scamming YouTube content creators. Share Your Heart may be the title of a song or album by an artist signed with Cobalt, but it's not a Cobalt-owned or branded entity. This just gets worse. Yeah, so yeah, it's probably automated. I now have to wait 30 days, potentially up to 30 days for a resolution, and I do not have confidence that YouTube is going to resolve this dispute satisfactorily. So what do I do if I lose this, if I lose this dispute? Do I let them keep taking the ad revenue from a documentary that I spent a year of my life producing? Do I delete it? If I delete that video, then I need to delete all 3 parts, and that will remove 400,000 views from the analytics from this channel. It's not something I want to do. Werewolf by Lunchtime says it's 7:50 a.m. I'm in Naranda, Perth. I'm only up because of my cat. Yawn. So glad I have Analog Toys to help me through my tired Sunday morning. Well, I'm in the same time zone as you, my friend, but I was up around 5:15 this morning because I actually had some chores to do before I could do this live stream. Well, King Eric, the greatest of all, that's a question that I would really like to know the answer to. Mr. Diddlebug, don't believe a thing. So if I lose the dispute, you think I should keep the content up there while someone else takes the ad revenue from it? I'm not comfortable with that, especially not when this is a false claim. And it may turn out that I win this dispute, but through my experience with YouTube, they will accept nothing other than a copy of a licensing agreement that you've paid for to use the music. And in this case, it's not the music in question. So I don't know. I don't know. The man says, I love you. I love you too, man. Royce McCutcheon, I don't know if you've joined late. I do not want to edit the video when this is a false claim for the wrong piece of music. I'm a man of principle, and I'm not just going to take an option here to let someone over there who's trying to scam their way in, try to falsely claim the revenue from a video that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into. I don't want anyone else suggesting to me to use the fucking YouTube editor. I made that video 8 years ago. There's been no issue with it for 8 years. I am not touching the fucking YouTube editor. Thank you, Shockwave75. I am not in the wrong here, so I shouldn't have to edit this video. No, Brian, you submit the dispute, it goes into the ether. I believe it gets reviewed by bots, but before you ever actually get to a real person. So, but look, that's the situation I'm in. If I do end up having to delete this, yes, ATM props and cosplay. I could download the video. I don't need to download the video. I have the video. What I don't have is the original editing program. So I would have to scrub all of the audio out and re-record it now. And I don't know if my voice even sounds the same 13 years later. But by doing that, I'm going to have to delete the video that's there, re-upload, and the channel will lose 188,000 views. Not really comfortable with that. Beavis, yes, contact Cobalt directly. I hadn't considered that. That is actually something that I will do after this stream. Lio Convoy, good to see you here, man. That it's been my experience that all you can do is file a counterclaim. Yep, which I filed yesterday. The freak who struck it would have to provide documentation that he is willing to take you to court over it. Okay, good to know. Hopefully that is the outcome we get. Yes, Storm. This is my kind of stance on it. Is so if I end up winning the dispute, what any revenue earned during that 30-day period that it was in dispute will end up coming back to me. Robert's Infinite Realms. This man gets where I'm coming from. Editing the video should not be done at all. Period. Yeah. Look, I'm not going to be making George Lucas special edition versions of older YouTube videos. I did do that once, but that was a bit of a joke. Pitbull Lover 82 says, "Love your videos, man. I think YouTube is a piece of crap for this." Yep, 100% agree. Quipper Fox has been a member for 21 months. Thank you for being here. Big Time Nerd 1990. Any big reasons for not returning to the 3 POA? Just creative differences, man. Creative differences that myself and Ryan just had some different visions. Look, something I do want to address, because I have had a number of people reach out to me since their 100th episode, and I want to just take a moment to address some misinformation, because I had some people reach out to me and say, I believe on the 100th episode, someone asked where I was, and they were told that I was too busy to attend. No, that's actually not accurate. I wasn't invited, but it's not a big deal. I personally, going on a live stream where there's like 9 people on the screen is like my worst fucking nightmare. I can barely deal with more than 4 people on a live stream. So, but the people who are reaching out to me, they almost kind of seemed annoyed with me that I couldn't make the effort to be on the show, when that is factually not true. So yeah, look, it's no big deal. There's no issue between me, Bobby, and Ryan. It's just like when a band splits up, right? different creative tastes in music and stuff like that. 3POA, I wish them all the success in the world. They're heading in their direction, and I'm it's part of me. It's like me not really wanting to do much modern toy stuff anymore, you know, and I'm getting back to my vintage roots. So I hope I answered your question big time, nerd. Keith Knight says basically Cobalt has stolen Tony's wallet and now claims the wallet was theirs all the time. You fight this shit, Tony. 100% mucker. Thanks, Keith. You know where I'm coming from. Robert Chattel, late to the party, he says, wow, just wow. Yeah, wow. Mr. T's Toy says, hey, Tony, sorry this is happening. If you lose the dispute, do you also lose the ability to turn off AdSense on it? Yes. Yes. I can't switch it to unmonetize now. They control that feature on that video. There's nothing I can do about it. Yes, Lyle, that's correct. While the dispute is going on, any revenue earned is going to escrow. Tyler Mitchell, if you set the video to private or even to unlisted, those views come off your channel stats. So that's not an option. It doesn't. YouTube's backend doesn't work that way. And I know that because I unlist quite a lot of my live streams. And when you unlist, like, in fact, there was a period several years ago where I was given some advice about the channel, and it was, if you're predominantly a channel that publishes fully produced videos, having a lot of live stream content on there will actually you'll lose subscribers over it. Subscribers who are there for the produced content and not the live stream content. So I made the decision to go back and now I don't unlist every live stream. Certain live streams are quite important to keep up. But I went back. There was a period there about 3 or 4 years ago where I went and unlisted a whole host of live streams, and I lost 400,000 or 500,000 views from the channel, from the stats. So. Neda's Network has been a member for 8 months. Thanks for being here, Neda. Good to see you as always. Brian Dillingham says, you did nothing wrong. Your hard work should not be exploited by others. This is your vision and a hill worth dying on. 100%. And if it means that I have to remove all 3 of those videos, what I will do, if it comes down to that, is I will then make that video available to patrons through another platform other than YouTube. I don't really want to lose the 400,000 views from the channel, but if I have to, that's what I'm going to do. Like a convoy says, we could always snatch Michael up and try to make our own podcast. Look, you know, me and Michael, we did war stories for a long time. We have not given up on war stories. We both want it to come back. We want to bring Clement back as well. Just both of us are just so busy running our channel. It's going to be one of them things where it'll be a special occasion. You know, we might only do an episode every 2 or 3 months or something like that. It won't be I don't particularly want to do a regular live stream show. The burden and the pressure of, you know, I have a full-time job. I spend my evenings and my weekends working on YouTube, and when you sit down and do a live stream like this on a Sunday morning, it ends up blowing out most of my day, because after this I Probably after doing this show, I mean, I'm going to go and watch UFC today, but I won't feel like sitting down and working on other content. I need a bit of a break from it. So, Props of the Future says this situation should not exist. I hope it will turn out good for you. We'll keep you posted on. Will you keep us posted on the outcome? Yes, I will. Whether I make, I won't do another live stream. Depending on how it pans out, I may make a short produced video to let you know. But at the very least, I will give you guys an update either on the Facebook page, or if you're not on Facebook, I'll do it on the community tab here on the channel. Crab Solo, thank you very much for the kind super chat. He says, I'm slowly in the process of launching a Star Wars action figure YouTube channel because there aren't enough of those already, right? Well, like Retro Busting inspired you, Analog Toys has inspired me. So thanks again. Well, that's very, very humbling to hear, man. And if I know you haven't asked me for advice, but if I could give you one piece of advice, and that is just try and be a unique voice. Try and present a unique perspective. That's all any of us can hope for. That's what I look for in other YouTube channels, is a unique point of view, or a unique form of presentation, or something like that. Omar V said he enjoyed your toy hunt vids in Japan. Thank you very much, Omar V. I'd love to go back. I will go back to Japan one day. It's not on the cards for now, but I am going back to Lobo's Collectibles in October. Doing a trip back to Melbourne there with Gracie. So there'll probably be a video that comes out from that. Fenrir Fire says that's changed. A lot of those people said YouTube welcomes live streams now. Yes, YouTube welcomes live streams, and yeah, I'm sure it's changed because this advice was given to me 4 or 5 years ago. But I think what you're missing is where YouTube welcomes it. It welcomes it if what they suggest now is that if you predominantly do produced videos and you want to do live streaming, they actually suggest that you set up a separate channel. Right. What I'm saying is it's not great for your channel if you do a mixture of the two at the same time. You're not listening to the detail of what I'm saying. Dude, that's awesome. That's the only $6 Million Man action figure, actual Steve Austin action figure that I don't own. It's the Biosonic one. I don't have a Fembot either. I need to get myself one of those. But no, that's super cool now. The rarest Steve Austin figure there is. Kelly Melvin says Cobalt isn't a big company. This is most likely a scare tactic they use, hoping for no pushback to get free money. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them hope, because there'd be a lot of people out there who just wouldn't even bother filing the dispute and would just let it go. But I'm not going to let this go, even if it comes to me removing the video, if that's what I have to do. Oh, thanks, Jesse. I appreciate that. Yeah, Chris. Me too. Me too. We just need to work out everyone's schedules. So. Michael Schaefer says Retro Busting and Analog Toys have never been live stream focused channels. No, I mean, both of our channels have been around for many, many years before we started doing live streaming. And a lot of that came about because of COVID, really, when everyone was kind of trapped indoors. And I over the years have grown very, very tired of live streaming. I don't really want to do much of it anymore. this was a topic that I really wanted to discuss with the audience, and I wanted to discuss this in a way where I could read your comments and have this conversation with you, which is why I decided to make this a live stream and not a produced video. Yeah, 100%, Geraint. I mean, it's shitty either way, but as I said, I unlisted or deleted a couple of unboxing videos. You know, something that I probably would have spent a couple of hours making. Didn't have anywhere near as many views, but yeah, this documentary I spent a year of my life, or more than a year of my life, if you include all the script writing and stuff like that. So it very much does suck. K-Dog Broadcasting says, Tony, are there any other 70s or 80s lines you're thinking about jumping into at this point? Funnily enough, I'm finding myself more and more tempted to collect. I know you guys know I collect Star Wars, and I did come back from Japan with that large size Boba Fett. But I think one of my next collecting focuses might be getting the whole large size range, possibly. Outside of that, what would be a toy line that I would like to start collecting? Very good question. And I don't have the answer to it. For now, I think you're just going to have to settle with the answer of, yeah, the large size Kenner dolls from Star Wars. Triple D's Dungeon has been a member for 1 month. Thank you for being here. Toy Gallery says, do you have Toymate stores where you are? Had a couple here in Melbourne, very much like the old Toys R Us stores, huge for. So there is one down in Perth that's about a 5-10 minute drive from my mum's house. And I used to go there quite often. The last time I was in Perth, I went there. They just had all of this leftover stock. In fact, I filmed a part in a Toymate last year that I think ended up in one of my Valaverse Action Force videos, where I went into this toy store and they just had row upon row upon row upon row of Marvel Legends Eternals figures. Doesn't look like Toymate, in my opinion, gets a lot of new product. They're still trying to get rid of leftover stock from 4 or 5 years ago. Thank you, Scuba. So Scuba Pete just sent me a message, something I missed in the chat, from Kelly Melvin. She has an American music attorney if you need a strongly worded letter. That is very, very kind of you, Kelly. If you wouldn't mind reaching out to me at torturegeniusfilms@gmail.com, so we can be put in touch. I might be taking you up on that offer. Ryan the Collector Kid, good to see you, mate. He says, hey, mate, I've been enjoying your episodes. Hopefully we can catch up at the next Nexus or Collector's Own Toy Fair. Ryan, I will definitely get in touch with you the next time I'm coming down to Perth for either of those shows. I've got a feeling I'm going to be going to at least one of those two sometime later this year. Just have to try and line up dates with... I've got to do some trips to Perth to do with the building of the house. So I will try and line it up with when there's a toy show on. And yeah, love to meet you, mate. I've been enjoying your content as well. So for anyone who hasn't seen Ryan the Collector Kid before, go and check out his channel. He's a toy collector based down in Perth. He's into Doctor Who and Ghostbusters and stuff. And he does really good videos from... There are two big toy collector shows in Perth. One is called Collector's Own Toy Fair and one is called Nexus. And whenever Ryan goes, he always makes really good toy hunting videos from those shows. So go and give him a watch, a follow, a subscribe, all of that stuff. Yes, Johnny Sorensen says, a second channel is best. YouTube punishes big time. Yeah, look at big channels like The Critical Drinker. He has a separate channel called his Critical Drinkers Open Bar for his live stream stuff. So he keeps his produced videos on one channel and that on another. Lee Ingalls says, greetings, Tony, from Rhode Island. I've been to Rhode Island a couple of times to visit Valaverse. I really enjoyed Rhode Island. Long-time viewer, what is your biggest remaining grail you have yet to acquire? Keep up the awesome content. I've got a few in my head and I'm trying to decide. I mean, the biggest would be a USSS flag. I don't know if I'll ever get one because I don't know where I'm going to put one. But if you mean biggest as in like most desirable, maybe the 18-inch tall Kenner Alien from 1979, or potentially an original first issue African-American G.I. Joe with painted hair. Yeah, probably one of those. Kelly Melvin. Perfect. Yeah. That was the message that Scuba sent me to make sure I didn't miss it. So much appreciated there. King out the greatest all. Isn't 8 years too long to make a strike? Is that something that can be used in your defense? Well, I don't know whether a real person at YouTube's going to look at this dispute or whether it's going to get processed by a bot. But just to be clear, they didn't strike the channel. That would go against. This is just a claim. So they're saying, "Oh no, you can keep your video up there. We just want all of the money."
They fuck you at the drive-thru, okay? They fuck you at the drive-thru. They know you're going to be miles away before you find out you got fucked, okay? They know you're not going to turn around and go back. So they don't care. Who gets fucked? Oh, Leo gets. Okay, sure. I don't give a fuck. I'm not eating this tuna, okay?
Yeah! Cobra Emperor, Joe Ring Collector, Delta 17. I can't wait for Call Sign Longbow and Operation Recall as well as Delta 17. So many cool O-ring figures. I wish someone would make all the Palatoy 5 POA into O-ring figures. I'm sure there's an audience for it. It's not something I'm not collecting modern stuff or even really modern reissues of old stuff. So Werewolf by Lunchtime. Have you ever found any vintage Action Man at Perth toy shows? I would love to have a deep sea diver, which I had as a kid. I found a carded deep sea diver at a Perth toy show, but that was in the late 90s. I used to find a lot of stuff and a lot of carded stuff from the Eagle Eye era. Some of probably the vast majority of mint in box items in my collection have come from the Nexus toy show. But we're talking 1998, 99 and 2000. Haven't seen stuff turn up for a very long time since then. Jesse Guerrero said, Tony, the last time I saw those Star Wars dolls was in San Antonio, Texas flea markets. And they had those dolls in multiple conditions, either loose, boxed, yet damages, or mint condition, and was in 2007. Oh, look, they turn up often. Anything vintage Star Wars is going to be costly, but outside of like IG-88 and probably the Jawa, they're not like, super rare. And it'd just be something that I would chip away at for a year or two until I got them all. So, Wolvie of the Quarter Jew. That's a weird name. Thank you for the super chat. Cheers, Tony. Got to head off for my stream. Have a great day. No problem, man. Thanks for being here. Ryan, the Collector Kid, you're very welcome, mate, by all means. And Scuba's put a link to your YouTube channel in the chat as well. You're very welcome, man. Would love to meet you next. If you're not aware, Ryan, I live in Port Hedland, which is like over a 2-hour flight away or 1,600 kilometers. So I don't get to go to all the shows, but if I can link it up with a a time when I've got to do a trip to Perth, I'll definitely come along to a toy show. Scuba Pete, no, I don't want Operation Shiptonian flag back on the top. I do not want that on the. I like the idea of owning a flag, but I actually don't really want to own one. No, it would be a burden rather than something I ended up enjoying. So, Raider of the Vibe says, "Hey Tony, American viewer here from Iowa. How did YouTube screw you over this time?" I've been through the whole saga, man. You'll have to go back and watch the replay. I'm not going to repeat it all now. K-Dog, out of those, the Flag, the Defiant, the Terrordrome, the General, the only one I'm really interested in is the Flag, but my heart wants one, my head doesn't, if that makes sense. I like the idea of owning it better than the reality of owning it. Yeah, sure, Les. I'm always up for having a beer. I had a few last night. Hey, no problem, Michael. Just happy to see you here. Michael knows what's going on anyway. I had a chat to him yesterday. Something we didn't chat about though yesterday, Michael, because I didn't know it at the time. I've gone back through. It turns out that the song that Cobalt Music Publishing is claiming on my video is a song that they released in late 2024. And yet somehow it ended up in my video 8 years ago. And in the back end of YouTube, they're now trying to claim that it's two different songs, neither of which are the one that's actually in the video. Excuse me for a second here. The wife's calling. I'll just have to message her. Catching up on the chat. Oh, crack. I would absolutely love to go to the Great Ohio Toy Show. I would want to have some cash in my pocket. So my wife just tried to call me, so I messaged her and said, "Hey, I'm in the middle of a live stream." She's like, "Oh, that's all right. Just call me back when you're free. Don't freak out, but money has just come out of your account." It's the end of the financial year in Australia, so she wanted to make a tax deductible donation to a charity, but for some reason when she claimed it, it came out of my PayPal. Thanks, wife. Hopefully it's a good charity. Retroblasting says, "Are you sure?" ? I'll give you mine for free. I'll fly it over to you. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about a flag, as I said, I like the idea of having one. I'm not going to be comfortable with the reality of one. I don't know how far back I am in the chat here. I will be wrapping this up soon as I want to go and watch the UFC with my son. Slacker Supreme says, "Tony, I have some 90s Action Man. Do you mean Revolutionary War figures? But I can't find anything about them online." If you're talking about Revolutionary War, I don't know what you're talking about. They're probably more likely to be classic collection G.I. Joe. So maybe start with that. Maybe try searching classic collection G.I. Joe Revolutionary War. And you don't know if that helps, but it might be a breadcrumb that starts leading you in the right direction. Scuba says, at Retroblasting, you'll need another pair of hands and luggage space. I'm in. Leslie was. Guys, I would love for you to come over. Hold off 2 years and wait until I'm in my new house down in Perth. We'll have a couple of spare rooms, comfortable places for you to stay. And Perth is a really, really beautiful city. I would love for you to come over. Scuba, I'll take. Oh, and scuba is some of the best scuba diving in the world off the coast of Perth. So there you go. Crack, that's very kind of you. He says he lives practically next door to the Great Ohio Toy Show venue. You can stay at my place. Awesome. Yeah, Diddlebug. The flag is great until you have to store it. So, well, storing it's one thing, displaying it's another. Because if you store it, it's still big, but you can disassemble it. And Tim Ward says the charity that Gracie donated to is the Ward Foundation. We do great things for some important to me. Perfect. Netta's Network, thank you very much for the kind super chat. You want the African American G.I. Joe from 1964. Search eBay for this vintage 1964 G.I. Joe action team flock hair fuzzy beard. So I don't want the flock hair fuzzy beard one. Now that might have 1964 printed on the back of the figure. That's a copyright date. It's not the date of production. And actually, the African American, I believe, came out in 65. It didn't come out in the first year, or maybe even 66. As much as I want one, I just can't justify the price. They're extremely expensive. King Eric, the greatest of all, thanks for the super chat. He says, Cobalt can suck it. You're the best, Tony. Thank you very much for the support. Yeah, that's an option, JLS Comics. I'll just get a poster of a flag instead and hang it on the wall. Yes, Michael Schaefer. Having a flag is like having a real boat or ship. The idea is always better than reality. I've owned a few boats in my life, like from big boats that you can actually, with a couple of bedrooms. I used to own a huge $200,000 boat several years ago that I would actually live on when I was working in Iraq. I owned a boat for several years, and whenever I would come back to Australia, I didn't have an apartment or a house. I lived on a boat. The idea is always better than reality. They cost you a lot of money. George, if you knew my wife, I would be the one on the couch, not her. If ever I complain about cats in the bedroom, she tells me that I can get the fuck out and go and sleep outside. The cats take priority over the husband. So I am going to be wrapping things up shortly. I'm just going to make sure I haven't missed anything else in the chat because it's my birthday tomorrow, and it's Sunday here in Australia, so my birthday's Monday, but I couldn't get the day off work, so I'm celebrating my birthday today with my son. We're going to watch UFC together, so I'll be wrapping things up very shortly. Let me just catch up on the last bit of the chat. Make sure I didn't miss anything important. Bob Botson said, bro lived on a boat, real life Lethal Weapon opening. That's awesome. Didn't he live in a caravan, not a boat? Or is that on one of the sequels? I don't know. Kevzilla67, thank you very much. He's been a member for 21 months. Much appreciated. K-Dog Broadcasting says, happy fucking birthday, Tony. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. And I didn't say that because I wanted anyone to send me like birthday super chat. So I'm going to end it there before you get the chance to do it. I want to go and watch UFC. I need a cup of tea. Thank you all for being here. I will keep you all updated on this YouTube drama. And I will... yes, I was right. Riggs lived in a trailer, not a houseboat. That's Bruce Willis. Yes. Yep. No. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your understanding, for the feedback. Interesting conversation tonight. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Cheers.
They fuck you at the drive-thru, okay? They fuck you at the drive-thru. They know you're going to be miles away before you find out you got fucked, okay? They know you're not going to turn around and go back. So they don't care who gets fucked. Oh, Leo gets. Okay, sure. I don't give a fuck. I'm not eating this tune, okay?